Bros, you're up.
All right, good morning. So it's like 7 o'clock here in Wisconsin, and normally I start my day off with a little bit of foam rolling and self myofascial release. Then I go to a workout. So I'm gonna work out after today. I'm sure people here are not all in the morning time, right? So I don't want to get you too jacked up or get you too wound down. So let's do a quick self massage, okay? Lead you through a quick guided practice. We can start by sitting up straight in our chairs, bringing our feet flat to the floor, and do what's comfortable. If you don't want to go get too tired, maybe it's really late, keep your eyes open. If you want to get relaxed, you can close your eyes. Do what comes easiest to you, okay? I'm gonna close my eyes. All I want you to do is take the palms of your hands and place them right above your hairline. We're just gonna start making small circles, massaging the head, just moving that top layer of skin from your scalp, making small circles. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, I'm hearing, and we're going to appreciate ourselves today with a quick self massage. And make those circles as you go back towards your ears. Switch directions, coming back up towards the forehead. Nice small circles. Get the blood flowing. And once you reach your forehead, just take your fingertips and massage the forehead. Again, small circles going out towards the temples, getting towards the temple next to your ears. Switch directions and come back up towards the middle of the forehead. If you need to take a peek at me, go ahead. And now taking your forefinger and your thumb, just trace your eyebrows. Starting from the inside, going out towards your ears, nice and gentle. Now you can take your thumb and just trace under your eyes, tracing under the eyes. Using your thumb still, you can trace your nose, going from the top of your nose towards the sides of your mouth. Maybe it's allergy season where you are. I don't know. Let's get the nose some love. Now take your fingertips like you're making a rake with your hands, and gently, or depending upon how you're used to it, just rake your cheeks. All educators, we tend to talk a lot. Maybe you have some tension in the cheeks. Some folks hold their stress here, going from the ear down to the chin. Now, as you grab your earlobes with your fingertips, just become aware of the change in temperature. My earlobes are a little bit colder than my face. And once you get to the earlobe, just pull down a little bit. I'm not going to pull too hard. My Bluetooth headphones might fall out. You're going to pull down the earlobes nice and gently. Now grab on the outside of the ears. Notice that temperature change again. And now pull out towards the sides. A lot of nerve endings in our ears. They don't get love sometimes. And lastly, pull up on the ears. Pulling up. Eyes still closed or relax. You begin to get your hands nice and warm. And then just gently place your hands on your cheeks, over your eyes. As we all take in a deep breath in and relax. And slowly and easily, in your own time, begin to open your eyes. Just a quick check in. How was that? Are we feeling up? Feeling awake? Yeah. Feel a little bit tired? You can stand up. Do your best stretch. This was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, cool. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a presentation. I'm going to do a little bit of an intro, and we'll have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever we are. Okay. So let me share my screen. Give me one moment here. I tend to go very tab happy sometimes. Let me just close the extra tabs and make it easier for us.
Just as you're opening it up, I was gonna just share that Ambrose is a really inspiring teacher. He's also a coach, so he coaches students and others in both physical and mental awareness. And I think that he has so many wonderful skills to offer that you're gonna have a great experience learning with him today. So we're really happy that you're joining us, and that's it. I just want to make sure that I do a short intro for Ambrose. Thank you,
Thank
Ambrose.
you, Armin. Yeah, I tend to jump right in, so I'll give a little bit background, especially if you're interested. So today, this is a wellness circle for global educators. I've been having these circles since October of last year for educators here in Wisconsin, along with their students and and parents. So in Sky Schools, we have a community that we focus on, which is like trifecta: the people teaching, the educators, the people learning, the students, and the support, which is the parents. So I have a dual role most places. I have a business, Mispibo Fitness. Think about the words mind, spirit, and body all smashed together. That makes up Mispibo. Started that company 16 years ago after playing college football and looking to pour back into young Black boys like myself. That was my focus, still is my focus, even though I work with everyone. And since then, I've been on a journey just to pick up skills, as Armin said, to become a better coach. So I went from training the body primarily and doing that personally to do it into groups. And I picked up nutrition. I was a very skinny high school athlete and had to gain 40 pounds in college. I had to learn how to do that. I got to learn how to do that. And then lastly, when I became a Sky Schools volunteer 8 years ago, I learned how to meditate. I learned how to teach breathing practices, and I wear both of those hats. So you're gonna hear me go back and forth between mental performance, which includes mindfulness and meditation and breath work, and then Sky Schools, which is really social emotional learning in school based institutions. Anytime you have a question, I see we have an awesome chat box. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but use the chat and I'll check the chat just to make sure I'm not missing anything or anyone. So here's today's outline. We're gonna have some intros. We had some intros earlier. That was really beautiful hearing everyone's voice in the room and hearing where you're from. If possible, I'm gonna ask Armin to break us into small groups of about 4 or 5, and we're gonna use the time to keep us moving, right? So we have, let's say, 4 or 5 people. We're gonna take about 3 or 4 minutes only to answer just 3 questions. Anything that's extra, we can have some conversation. But I want us to be able to connect as much as possible. We'll go over some community norms. So all that means is, how do we want to show up for today? And I have some ideas, and I'd love to hear your ideas as well. We can add those to the norms. The biggest thing I want to share with you today is called a 5 C's of awareness. It's an empathy building tool that I've been using because what I've realized is that during the pandemic and quarantine, it's easy to feel like you're alone, right? Because we're physically distancing. And then, sometimes it's hard to realize that other people also have things going on in their lives as well, unless you have those conversations. We'll have some discussion, a breathing practice, and then I'll pass it over to Armin Luis for next steps. So I'm seeing the chat box right now. Let me just check real quickly. Oh, physical education. Yeah, so I am an unorthodox or informal educator. What's that mean? That means I did not go to school for education. I went to school for sports management and for history. specifically ancient civilizations and African history. My idea then was I was going to become an athletic director at a school. I was going to coach football. And I was going to teach history. And that's a longer story. But if you are aware of the real estate crash here in the States, 2008-ish, it was very hard to find jobs. So I became a personal trainer and started my own business really soon out of college. Great question. So I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see your faces and see if I can see Armin and Luis. Are we able to do breakout rooms for 4 minutes? Yeah.
What would you like
So
people to discuss? That's not a problem. I'll do it
yeah,
right now.
very yeah. So let me share the discussion questions. So I kind of want to actually not yet. I'm sorry. So let me talk about what mental performance is. Mental performance is is the art and science of helping people overcome mental barriers that trip them up and build the behaviors, habits, routines they need to achieve goals and perform at a high level, especially when times are tough. So this is what I was speaking about earlier. Uh, as a trainer, I realized, yep, teaching someone how to do push-ups and how to do squats and how to run is important, but it didn't always stick. It didn't stick enough for me. So I realized that I was missing a very foundational piece is that people come into work with us, all of us, right, with their own behaviors, their own beliefs, even before the behaviors. And those things become routine. So right now, most of the work that I do in my business is helping people become aware of that. And just like a soccer coach or a volleyball coach or a math tutor, right, or a Spanish teacher, I have very particular drills. I call them drills. They can be called exercises, processes that helps them unpack those things and then be able to build the skills that they want. So, for example, I have a young athlete right now at a private school in Milwaukee, and he is going for his driver's license. He's going out for the golf team, and he's very nervous about being back in school. Right. So in our sessions, we may cover one, maybe cover all three, but the idea there is what can we do behavior wise that will set him up for success to get his driver's license or to make the golf team. So I post a lot about that stuff on social. That's my social handle. If you're interested, you could find me there. And I really just share my own behaviors and my routines as a way to inspire people to do their own. And for Sky Schools, we have monthly breathing workshops. If you are interested, Armin, I can definitely get you plugged in. Uh, we are a social emotional learning program that we're breathwork experts. That's what we do mainly. And it goes beyond mindfulness. Mindfulness is a really important tool. It's very, very popular here. Sometimes I feel like it gets almost too much conversation, but I
Ambrose,
think it's a great thing. Yes.
are you sharing your screen? I just want to double check because some people are
Oh
on.
no, you're not seeing what I'm seeing.
Just
Yes,
share it again.
yes,
Thank you.
yes. Thank you, brother.
Sure.
Like a rookie over here. So this is mental performance coaching. I'm sorry, that's what I was talking about a second ago. And here's Sky Schools. So for more Sky School stuff, that's our Facebook page here in Milwaukee. But Armin can definitely get you plugged in. So any questions about that before I go? I'm not gonna do too much more about me and what I do. I want to make sure I didn't skip over that. Any questions? Okay. All right. So norms, challenge by choice. What does that mean? That means that let's say for today, you aren't able to go into a deep conversation. Don't feel like you have to, right? I want you to feel comfortable showing up for today. So we call that challenge by choice. Challenge by choice. Assume good intentions. So one thing I would definitely try to say your name, and if I say it wrong, assume I'm doing my best, right? I think this group is a very positive group, but sometimes we come into conversations, especially tough conversations, and we have a hard time assuming the good. Using I perspectives. I'm not speaking for all Americans. I'm not speaking for all Black men. I'm not speaking for all guys that wear glasses, right? I'm speaking only as myself, as Ambrose. Listen twice, speak once, right? So the idea here is I really want to hear from you. So at some point, I'm going to ask you to talk to me. Just be aware of your own airtime. We have lots of people on the call. We want to hear as many voices as possible. And we don't have a problem with this, obviously, but audio, video, self care. And some of these things that I'm doing today with you, I'm doing it in a way that I would love for you to think about doing with your students. So sometimes we have teachers who get very disturbed by the fact that their kids don't have their cameras on. So I let the kids know right away, hey, audio, video, self care. If you have to go get some water, go use the bathroom, take care of your pets, go for it. Come back when you can. That leads back into number one, challenge by choice, and number two, assume good intentions. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second to see you. Are there any norms that I should be aware of that will help you today be more fully present? And if you have any norms, you can just drop in the chat box. If those norms are pretty good for you, you can just give me a thumbs up.
Can you explain what a norm is? Just
Yes,
in
for
case,
sure.
just for people
Yeah.
who haven't heard that term in our group. What is a
Yeah.
norm?
So norm. So a norm is, I basically say a norm is an agreement. How do you want to be today? Right? So I statements, right? So sometimes what happens is I'm at this resort. It's a wonderful resort. It's actually for courageous conversations. And I'm here with a group of Black leaders, activists, organizers, and advocates for Black people. And sometimes what can happen is you can say, well, all Black people. And it's like, nope, we're speaking only for ourselves. No sweeping statements. So I can say all students, right? We're going to say my student, right? Or I as a teacher. Does that make sense? Yeah. So sometimes people will say things like using pronouns. That's a new one I did last week with a group of students. What was it called? The Gay Straight Alliance. They said, Ambrose, at our school, we use our pronouns. So what I did really quickly was I went to my name and I said, okay, I'm aware of that. So then I typed in he, him, his. Does that make sense? Great. Are any norms that you use in your classrooms that I should be aware of that would help with today's conversation? Okay, I see the chat box. One second.
So we're gonna write our norms in the chat box. Anyone
Yeah,
has them? Cool. Let's see what people.
mutual respect. We can agree to that, I think. Yes. What else? Sharing. Mm-hmm. To be a good listener, cooperation, personal attitude, caring, collaborative, timing, listening, motivation, equal sharing. Very good. The sharing one's gonna be interesting. I think Luis and Armin are pros at this. This is my biggest group I've had in a while. So I'm gonna do my best job to do the breakout rooms for sharing. We come back to the group, it won't be so much sharing, but I really want to leave space for that. That's why I jumped to that earlier. All right, so we're going. So look at all the extra norms as well in the chat box. Those are fantastic. I think we're on the same page. So now I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay, here we go, Armin. I jumped the gun. So I want to leave some space for sharing and for some connectivity. So if you have a smaller group, you can do this all at the same time with everyone, but it takes time, right? So we're going to break out into rooms instead. What I want you to say is your name, where you're from, the title at your school. Number two, one thing, because I'm sure you're all doing wonderful work around the world. Say one thing that you've accomplished in the last 12 months that you're proud of. Then lastly, a wellness check-in with your community. So I'm going to model this behavior for you really, really quickly so you can see. It shouldn't take much more than 30 seconds, right? But sometimes people like to talk, which is very good. So for example, hi, my name is Ambrose WB. I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, teaching. Today I'm in Racine, Wisconsin, about 40 minutes away from where I live. I actually don't work at a school, but I work with schools. So I'm the director of a program called Sky Schools Milwaukee. I'm proud of buying a home this year. We are in our last month of living downtown in an apartment, and by June 1st, we'll be living in our new home. And my community is okay. I'm a little bit worried or think about my girlfriend. She's was very stressed out when she dropped me off here on Friday. She had a lot going on, so I gave her a call last night, and today she has an off day. We call them Sunday fun days. So my community really is me and my partner, and she's a little bit stressed out with the move and work and things like that. But I'm doing okay today. So I'm gonna make sure I can see your face. Does that make sense how I did that? It took maybe about 45 minutes, right? So in our breakout rooms, we're going to name where you're from and your title or your role.
Beautiful.
One thing you're proud of, and then your community and their wellness, right? What's going on? So we're gonna share a little bit, we're gonna hear a little bit, and then we'll come back together.
Ambrose, I have rooms of 3 to 4 people. Would 5 to 6 minutes be okay?
Yeah, you know what I'll do? I'll do it even shorter.
Okay. 4 minutes?
Yeah, make them talk fast. Yeah, go for it. I think 4 minutes is great.
Okay, so you'll be pushed automatically into your rooms, and we'll see you in 4 minutes. Okay, everyone? Let's see if it works. Good luck. We'll just press join. And those who are here with me can just share their name. What was the question? Where you're teaching right now and how your wellness is of your students in your school. Hello, Nadia and Sanjeev. All right, so I'll go first. I don't know if Nadia and Sanjeev are here, but I'm Armin. Oh, there's Nadia. She left. I'm teaching in a school called Tokum in Connecticut with primary
Hi.
students. Hello, Sanjeev. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine, sir. What about you, sir? Is my voice audible?
We are right now sharing in a small breakout room. Hi,
Yes, sir.
Gaine. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Hello, I'm fine.
Great. So what we're sharing right now in our breakout room is our name, what school we teach at, and how is the wellness of our students right now. So I was just sharing first. I'm Armin. My students teach at my students study at a school called Tokum. It's a primary school, and I think their wellness is okay because they get to come to school and they're happy to be together. But we can always improve. So that's my students. Do you want to share next, Sanjeev?
Is my voice audible, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, it's me, Sanjeev from Nepal, sir. I'm secondary level teacher. Now, due to the COVID, I'm just out of touch with my students. The classes is locked down, and hope very soon the class will resume, as the new session is also in progress after the conducting the final exam. So we are waiting for them, but due to this, I'm connected with my students through social media platform. I created WhatsApp groups and messenger groups, and time and again I post the content to my learners, and they enjoyed it, and they asked me the questions about also. So I'm in touch, but face to face or online classes is not at now, sir. Hope very soon the class will resume.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Gaine?
Yes, so I'm Gayane. I'm from Armenia. I teach at high school. and it is called Leo, after Leo, and the number is 65. And I can say that the wellness of my students is also okay. They are coming to school. We are not doing online lessons. We are doing face-to-face since November. And I can say that it is perfect. And we do all the lessons face-to-face. And even they are participating also their PT lessons, which is very beneficial because they do also some exercises.
Nice. Exercising the mind and the body.
Yes.
Okay. I think Arum is here. Arum, would you like to share?
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late. So
It's
what are
okay.
you guys discussing?
Name, your school, and your students' wellness right now. How is it?
Okay. Well,
Thanks,
I am. Hello.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Arumnis Maulanjani. I'm from Indonesia, and I'm a lecturer in a university. I teach higher education students, and it's been 1.5 years been teaching online for my students, and it changes everything. It changes our students. It changes the lectures too. And talking about well-being, well, actually, of course, most of my students have a difficult time, difficult phase in in facing 1.5 years virtual learning, full online learning. Yeah, and I teach in not in a big city. Most of my students live in the suburban and with difficult signal, difficult, yeah, and it's not in a big city. So most of them, they, feel stressed out, yeah, about more than 1 year online learning. So it is important for us to think about their side, think about their feeling, because no matter how we teach, no matter what we use, the focus is on the students themselves. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Arum. Welcome, Paulina.
Hello, sorry for being late, technical problems.
It's fine. Well, people are just coming back. We were just sharing your name, your school, and your students' wellness. Maybe Paulina in 20 seconds, if you want to just say those
Okay,
three
yes.
things. Yeah.
I'm from Poland. My students are 14 plus up to 19, intermediate, upper intermediate, wellness. You've mentioned wellness.
Well, yeah, our topic today is wellness. How do you
Yeah.
think the students are doing overall?
Okay, so mostly in tutorial meetings, we have like elements of wellness. The topic is not so strong, I would say, in Poland. We are rather sort of reserved people, but if we feel comfortable, then we are open. And I think the state of mind is one of the most important elements we want to teach to our students, especially in pandemics, because we know that from pandemics, many, let's say, emotional problems have been resulting. So I believe this topic is getting stronger and stronger, and it's going to be discussed among us. But mostly we do elements of wellness, relaxation, recovering your balance, getting your grip in tutorial meetings.
Thanks. Ambrose, we're passing back the baton to you. You're leading us in the direction. Where are we going to? Thank you, Paulina. You, Ambrose, just unmute yourself, man. Don't worry, because I have an automatic muting. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I'm looking at rookie over here. So I'm wondering how much of your conversation was about your students from a 0 to a 5. 0 being no talk about my students, 5 being only talk about my students. Let me see your hands. 4 from Betsy, 5 from Tarana, 3 from Julia, 5 from Madon. Very good. 2 from, okay. So I want to make sure I ground the conversation. Talking to Armin and Luis, my highest intention is to check in on you, right? On you. So I'm in this space here. I don't see the paper that I was working with, but I have this theme that I've been working with called self-care is caring for others. Self-care is caring for others. So when I had the opportunity to talk with global educators, I was very excited because the idea is if you're supported, if you're taken care of, your kids, your students, your community will be wonderful. So if you talk about your students, wonderful. I do the same exact thing, but I really want you to understand this is for you. And whatever we do today, you can then use with your students. Does that make sense? All right, so that massage earlier, that was for you. Hopefully you liked it. And guess what? Kids love it too, right? Talk about what you're proud of, that was for you. I was happy. Where is that? Where's our group at? One of our friends is getting her master's degree, right? And James and I clapped for her, right? This is for you this morning, this afternoon. I want you to be aware of that. So we're going to do a quick check-in now about that question. So we don't have time for everyone to speak, but I like to use what's called move to speak. Move to speak. What's that mean? I'm a very shy person, believe it or not. I'm an introvert. So in this workshop that I'm holding, when I'm leading, I talk. So I've talked for 3 hours this weekend. When I'm not talking, I just write on my notepad. But whenever my hands get sweaty, my throat gets a little bit, or my belly feels a little bit funny, I know I'm moved to speak and I'll say something, right? It takes a little bit of practice, right? Especially with a group of, what do we have? Like 50 people here, which is wonderful. 58 people. So the question I have for you right now is, how are you doing? If you want to share with us, I would love to hear from you, but you can also use the chat box. The question is, how are you doing today? Tired. I'm great.
Great as usual. As always, not usual, as always.
So great. I'm hearing great.
And
very fine. Motivated to learn. I'm motivated.
I'm over the moon. I'm over the moon and I have a chance to study with the experts and many great, wonderful educators around the world.
Yeah. Tired but active. Great. Fine. Energetic. So tired because I watched UFC. Me too last night, James. Not tired, but I watched it last night. Okay. Encouraged. So very good.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. I'm Saima Munir. I was confused because I joined late, so I didn't know that what you are discussing about. But as far as my students are concerned, so in this pandemic situation, it's very difficult to teach them because we don't have this much facility, but we managed to use and to teach them as per using WhatsApp because we don't have this much network facility. So whatever facilities we have, we teach them in this pandemic situation and we keep them involved in studies. As since last month, we are having again vacations, so we have to manage, and we are also using same WhatsApp for pre-board exam. And for this, we have made a PDF of papers, like I'm teaching English to class 9th and 10th. So I have prepared 75 marks paper and I'm teaching them, and I have sent them that paper and they have to solve within 3 hours. And then they give me back or send me back in PDF form. And so I'm going to check that and then I'm going to give them marks. So I didn't know that what you are discussing about.
Yeah, Saima.
So,
We're gonna continue allowing Ambrose to explain what he's discussing, and you will catch on, okay?
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Saima, for being with us. Go ahead, Ambrose.
Simon, you jump right to the next thing, right? So as you can see, most people, most educators, you're wired this way to think about your students. And I love that, right? We're going to do that, but I'm going to ground it in about yourself first, right? But we have to think about the whole community. So now we're going to do a breakout room again. And we're going to give a little bit more space this time for conversation, Armin. So like 6 minutes this time. Be aware of the airtime, okay? But the check-in's going to be different people if possible. Yeah, it's nice. Switch it up. So here are the questions, right? I'm going to show you my screen. I just asked you the question, how are you? The follow-up to that question is, what do you need to be well? What do you need to be well? For example, you see where I'm sitting? The sun is shining on me. I need this sunshine, right? Here in Wisconsin, it's very cold, right? So once the sun comes out, we want to get outside, right? I need water, right? Good water to be well, right? Friends, family, connections, whatever you say, the question is, what do you need to be well? Don't get into the drama, okay? Get into the drama, that 6 minutes will be taken up so fast. This isn't happening and this is, no, I just need this. Money, time, fun, whatever you say, ice cream, right? The next question is going to be, what do your colleagues need to be well?
Do you want us to see this on the screen? Just double check.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. I'm going to shout. What do your colleagues need? Your staff. What do they need to be well? Vacation, more professional development, teacher's assistants. I don't really know, right? What do your parents need to be well? Right? Your students' parents. What do they need? And not lastly, but also very importantly, what do your students need to be well? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so you can see what those things are. And let me know, Armin. I know I'm not dropping into the chat box for you, brother. So if they can see these in their breakout rooms, it might be helpful.
I would encourage everyone who's on a phone or a computer to grab a screenshot of this. You can also use it for your classes, right? So is that okay? Just
yes.
10 seconds, screenshot it, click. Here are your discussion questions. Groups of 4 or 5 is okay, Ambrose?
Yeah, so because of the lack of time, right? And not lack of time, because of the timing, you talk about the group that you feel most inspired about, right? But if everyone does students, guess what? We're missing out a lot, right? So if we have a group of 4 people and you go last, maybe you get stuck with talking about yourself a little bit. Who knows, right? But let's talk about each of those groups. When we come back together, I'm going to look for common themes. So what do you need to be well? Your colleagues, that's your staff, parents, and students. You can pick anyone you want to talk about. We'll be there for about 6 minutes. We'll come back together. Does this make sense?
Perfect.
Beautiful.
All right. 6 minutes on the clock, on the shot clock. We'll have rooms of 3 to 4. Please keep your camera on. If not, keep your audio on. We want to hear your beautiful teacher voices. Okay, enjoy the conversation. Wida.
Yes, Armin.
How you doing? Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Would you like to share first what you need to be well?
I have a session in 20 minutes. Sorry, I have classes in 20 minutes.
That's fine. This is only going to take 30 seconds, so you're fine. What do you need to be well?
All right. Why I need to be well? Right. Do you want to be start? Okay.
Yeah, you can start. Go ahead.
I have a bad headphone. Oh, sorry. So I need to be well to do my jobs, to participate in helping my community. I mean, to to do everything possible to help people, to help my students, to help my family. So I need to be well. As for my colleagues, why do they need well? If they are not well, how can we be in a teamwork? We need to be collaborative people. We need to help each other. We need to support each other. So if they are well, I will be well too, my colleagues. So, okay, my students and my parents need to be well, yeah, because they are the source of happiness. They are the one who give us the advice, the wisdom. And my students need to be well too, because they need to be well, because to do their task, they are the future. They are the future for any community. They are the people who will build the community later on. So they need to be well. And our mission as an educators, we need to help them. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Huaida. Tiao, go ahead. It is our mission, life mission.
Yeah.
Just unmute yourself, Tiao, so we can hear you.
Hello.
Go ahead, Tiao, we can hear you.
Yeah, what I need to be well is, first of all, peace and love from my family. Okay, having a good health. Okay, these are things I mostly need to be well. Okay, as far as my colleagues are concerned, I think that having the student doing well, or having peace. I think that peace is the major thing that everybody need to be well, because wherever there is peace around, everybody's feeling good. Okay, everybody's great. Okay, and we can be fine. Okay, our parents, our students' parents are well. Whenever their children are well. The children are working hard, are having good marks, are in good health, okay, doing great. So parents also are very well. This is what all parents need, really. For our students, what they need to be well is, to have, to be in good health also, and to have a good education. They feel that their teachers are doing great, are teaching them what they need. They feel good with the teachings, they get engaged, they feel that they have done something today at school. So they are great also, they're well, and they see that they can be of a good help to their studies, and they feel great. I see that my students, whenever the class is animated, the class is fun, they get engaged, they understand, they're well. You see in their behavior that they are very well, they like it, they enjoy, and they are not sleeping, they follow the class, and so you can see that they are going great.
Lovely. I like how you said, like, the kids' wellness is based on the parents' wellness. And then, I don't know if you've ever felt this, Huaida and Tiao. If my students are not happy, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Like, and if I'm happy, then they will feel happier. So there's
because the behavior that you bring home, that you bring in class, the mind that you bring in class will reflect the behavior of your students. When you come in class, shouting, showing that you're not fine, you're not great today, the students also are a little bit shy, and they even are afraid to get involved in the class. So when you're happy now, you're laughing, you're dancing, you show that you are good, the students also are awakened, and they feel great, they're great. So the behavior are interrelated. So, and I think that a teacher should not bring his or her problems in the classroom. whatever your problem, when you get in the class, you can change and try to seem that you are good and that you are great, and forget your problem that the problem that you had at home. Okay, because that is a kind of, okay, the role of the teacher also to push their students in, okay, feeling good, feeling great, so they are okay. That is what I think.
Okay, I'm a little bit embarrassed, everyone. My computer was on 100% battery, but I think it's because I'm in nature, it's pulling really fast. So I'm gonna run to my room and come right back. Armin, can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Unpack that conversation. That was a lot. People probably shared a lot in those groups. Me and Foa talked a lot. So we had 4 check-ins: ourselves, our community. I'm sorry, 3 check-ins: ourselves, parents, students, educators. What we're looking for here are themes that were across each group. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna lean on Armin.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want you to hear from people in the chat box mainly. What did they hear? And then pull out the themes that you gleaned from there. By that time, I'll be back. Okay.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
So in a moment, we're gonna share out loud. But if you want to write something, I guess we'll just start with what Ambrose has asked us to do, which is just to write what was a theme you talked about. Like I know in the group for Tiao and Hawaida and I, we talked a lot about health. So if you could list, your discussion in 5 words, what would those 5 words be? I know health was a big one. We'll just write them down here and we'll just hear people out, and then in about a minute we can actually share with our voices to hear what we think some of the similar wellness things are. So Vanessa was talking about hugs and a break from the pandemic. Let's see, Taruna, health and happiness. Okay. Food and technology is what Fong talked about. Mandu was talking about just hearing from others. He liked it. Connection with other people. Okay. All right. Oops. Get that correct. Okay. Well, trying to get it so we can see everyone. Oh, there's 29 messages. Wow. That's a lot of messages all at one time. Creativity, health, teaching tools, sleep, how we can make teachers happy, money, collaboration, love. Ooh, I like that one. Nice, Hawaida. Students, family, care. Okay. Alice said teaching, success. Mustafa said care and love. Saima said a chance to connect. Calm spaces, what Betsy said. Money. Okay. Well, health. Okay. Satisfaction. So if anyone wants to share something that they heard that they really liked from people in their team, what I really liked with Tiao and Hawaida was about how our happiness is other
A
people's
imersão lá
happiness.
em Santarém, ó. Que eu tenho até um livro dele que ele me deu o livro. Esse aqui eu ensinei que
Okay.
ele
I'll try to mute
A lot of noise here.
I know, a lot of mics.
Hey, you guys, just to control the conversation, we'll only have one person unmute at one time. Okay, so everyone mute real quick, just so we're all on the same page, and then we'll just have one person on at a time. So, Farah, do you want to share first? I see you're posting in the chat.
It's okay. Yes, connection with God. If you are spiritually connected with God, you will feel like comfort, are in love with everybody. I mean, your family, your colleague, your friends. This is the ultimate goal for everybody, to have love, to have money, to have support, to be connected with his God spiritually. Thank you.
Vanessa?
Can I share?
Thank you, Hawaida. Vanessa, go ahead. It's very true.
I thought it was really interesting to hear that some countries they need better salaries and money and things. I think it's very good for us to see what's going on in all the world, like the needs are different. But I think the main thing is a break from pandemic. I think everybody's very stressed out, and we need hugs, we need connections again, we need to go back to our normal lives. And meanwhile, while we cannot go back to the normal thing we had before, so we have to invent things and be creative and try our best to get ways to lower our stress, like a self massage or meditation, and to get to a lower level of stress. That's it. But everybody has like other needs, like a vacation or sleep or better salary. But I think the main thing is the stress level needs to go down. And so if we are calm, if we are less tired, if we are with our minds, without any, so I think this is the key.
Yeah. Wow. This hour is
I
going
agree
by
with
really
Vanessa.
quickly. I'm going to hop in only because the hour is going by so fast, guys. I don't want to leave you, but you can see this is a very engaging conversation. So what I want you to think about now is I'm going to prime you for later. How can I incorporate this into my classroom? How can we incorporate these questions into our meetings? Because I asked you earlier, how are you? I'm great. I'm good, which is probably true. But we don't get past just the facade of I'm the teacher that has everything together. No, I need more income. I need more technical support. I need a hug, right? So it's a simple question that really opens some things up. So I'm going to do this next part quicker than I normally do it, but I wanted to spend some more time in breakout rooms, building connection, and sharing this tool called the 5 C's. So earlier you heard Luis and Armin gave me a very nice introduction about who I am and what I do, right? And I'm going to do this introduction again in a slightly different way. I just want you to listen to the nuances, okay? So I'm going to make sure that I can see you again. Let's make myself the speaker. So here's my other introduction, right? So when I go into new schools or talk to people, I use this introduction sometimes. Hi, my name is Ambrose Wilson Brown. I'm a cisgender Black man from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I have an athletic background. I was an athlete in high school and an athlete in college, which is why I coach primarily now. I grew up Baptist, but I practice Buddhism now, and I teach meditation and mindfulness practice are secular, but people sometimes attach that to religion. I really focus on being strategic, humble, inspired, courageous. And right now, my context is that I'm in this very, very beautiful resort that I can't even believe is in Wisconsin, where I'm from. Because in my city, there's a lot of violence going on. But here in nature, I feel very peaceful and very calm. Okay, so what did I just do there? I went beyond my name and my title, right? And when we do this, something happens. So I'm going to share with you a framework right now, and we're going to practice this framework ourselves. So here is the framework. It's called the 5 C's of awareness. In being mindfulness, meditation, breathing practice teachers, I've learned about this word awareness, and this is a different way of thinking about it. So I met a guy named Dr. Ulrich Johnson in person, actually, probably 2 years after I started using his practice. And Dr. Ulrich Johnson is a Trinidadian man. So he's a Black man when you look at him, but he's from Trinidad, which means is that the culture in Trinidad and the culture where he moved in Boston, Massachusetts. If you don't know where Boston is, Boston's in the top eastern quarter of northeastern corner of the United States, and it's cold. It's cold there like it's cold here in Milwaukee. If you don't know where Trinidad is, it's in the Caribbean islands. So he had a shock, right? Culturally, color, he's the same as other Black men in Boston, but culturally, class-wise, he was a lot different. Patty DeRosa is from Italy. Anyone from Italy here today? So she's Italian, and she also moved to Boston, Massachusetts when it was cold outside. And Patty DeRosa appears to be a European or a white woman. And she is a white woman, but she's also culturally Italian. So what happened is these young people were thrown into this crisis of their identity. Who am I? Because people can look at you and see one thing, but there's so much more than that, than what people see. So I'm going to go through this very quickly, and I use this with students. I'm using this with students throughout the whole pandemic, and what they have told me is that their needs were feeling more connected and praise. Connected and praise came up the most from parents, teachers, and students. So this process gives us the opportunity to feel more connected by sharing ourselves more deeply, and some praise because someone's going to say, ooh, I also like that type of food, or I like that type of music as well. So let me go through it with you really quickly. The color of, and I'll also, Armin, I'll share the worksheet with you so that people can have access to these resources beyond the call, okay? So the color 5C, the color C is just is. What's that mean? That means that I cannot change the color of my skin. I'm a black man, right? And sometimes it can get a little bit more complex talking about our gender and our sexuality. That's gonna be more fluid. But I'm gonna say for me, I'm a straight black man. I was born that way. I'm also the oldest of of five of us. I have two siblings that are boys and two that are girls. I'm the oldest. I can't really change those things about me. So if you look at this list of people, you can see guy on the left is old. Guy on the right is old. They can't really change that. How do I know that? They have gray hairs and they have a cane, right? That's a baby, right? It just is. It's not very much more than a list of things. Black, straight, male. And sometimes we get stuck on that. At least here in the States, we get really stuck sometimes on this thing that is it's just my skin color, right? Culture. This is why I think this call could go on for another hour. We won't, but it could, because I'm so interested in the cultural aspect of this group. This is a global group. So color defines us, and color can be broken down into basically religion, school, and then there's things for our countries that are true to our country that maybe even know other places, right? When someone said Brazil, I have an idea of Brazil because I watch The City of God, and sometimes I Google Brazil about traveling there, but I never actually have been before, right? Then we have things like capoeira, which are a little bit more nuanced, right? So in the top left-hand corner, we know that Guy Parbley, he's the Pope. So I grew up Baptist. My family is Baptist. I went to Catholic school, Lutheran school, but I personally practice Buddhism as a spiritual practice, not as a religious practice. School, apple pie is an American thing. People know about that, but being Black, I actually eat sweet potato pie. I don't go for the apple pie. It's a little bit different, right? And instead of playing baseball, I played football, as I mentioned earlier. In school, we're all here through school, right? We're all educators. But this capoeira thing is very interesting, right? Is it African? Is it Brazilian? Is it an exercise? Is it martial arts? Well, maybe it's all of those things, right? So culture is really interesting. So this group could have a whole day about this one by itself, right? But it defines who we are. Class ranks us. Class ranks us, right? So I mentioned I'm the owner of my own business. I'm the director of this program. Sometimes in our spaces, we get stuck on titles. Teacher, teacher's assistant, master's degree, PhD. Those things are all wonderful, right? But it's just one of our C's. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the oldest. I did not mention earlier because it feels like I'm bragging, but I really do enjoy this stat. I finished my college career as a champion, right? That's something that I really covet as an athlete, being the best. This is an interesting one. Whenever I ask my students what their financial status is, no matter if I'm working with kids in the inner city, the hood where I'm from in Milwaukee, or I'm in Boston at some really, really fancy school that costs $75,000 for high school, all the kids say they're middle class. Why? Because talking about being poor, talking about being rich, culturally, it's a little bit weird here in the States. So class ranks us. It gives us access to power. Access to power. This is the C that most people like to talk about, people being young people. They actually don't get too much stuck on the other C's like adults do. I gave you my character earlier: humble, generous, courageous, inspired, and strategic, right? Our character guides us. Think about it this way. If I had a twin brother, even though we have the same color, the same culture, similar class, we would have different character. It's like a thumbprint. No one's character is the same. It guides us. And here's the other one that could be a long conversation, because I'm sure there's so many things that are happening. I think it was, who was talking about, someone just had a lot of empathy for other people. Was it Vanessa? I'm not sure. You're on my screen now. But the idea of like, I wasn't aware that Fuang in my group says, hey, I'm trying to use technology and my parents don't understand it. And even though she is in a developing country, I think she's in Vietnam, we're having the same problems here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And so that's our context, right? Our context is what are the things that are happening in our world that are shaping the way that we show up. So right now, for example, in Milwaukee, we have a high homicide rate here, murder. And the weird thing this year is that the murder rate is similar, but the rate of violence is increased. What's that mean? There's more people being shot. They're not dying the same amount of death as last year, but there are more people who are getting hurt this year than there were last year. So that's why I said earlier, it feels really funny to be here out in nature, because I know 40 minutes away, there's a lot of violence happening in my city. So I'm going to unshare my screen. We have about 20 minutes at least left. And I just want to take a moment, because that can be a lot, right? That can be a lot. So if we could, let's all take a deep breath in together and breathe out. That's just the reality of things, right? Let's say you catch me on a day where it's my nephew's birthday. My context that day would be, I get to go to my nephew's birthday party later, which is going to happen next week. So the context changes, okay? So what I want to do, does this make sense? Yeah. So, okay. So we're going to go into breakout rooms again. This time, before the breakout room, we're going to spend time on our 5 C's. So do me a favor, grab some paper, grab a pen. I want you to draw 5 circles on your paper. 5 circles. And I want you to list those circles or write the theme of those circles. I'm going to go back to the presentation for a moment. One second. And you're going to write color, write culture, class, character. For today's conversation, we're not going to do context, but you can write that theme there just so you can practice. And we're going to spend some time right now together before we go into a breakout room, writing what comes up for us, right? So what would I write in my color circle? Black, man, cisgender, or heterosexual. And don't forget, challenge by choice. What's that mean? Whatever you write down, you don't have to share with the group. This is just a practice for you, okay? In my culture, I would write down Buddhist, hip hop, sneakers, Black history, sweet potato pie, athlete, right? So I just want to make sure I can see some faces, see some head nods. Is this making sense what we're writing down? If you have any struggles, write in the chat box. I'll read and respond there. For right now, spend about 3 minutes, as fast as possible, writing down what comes up in your circles, okay? And I'm gonna look at the chat box for questions. Thank you, Luis and Armin.
It can even be 1 or 2 words. for each of those, right, Ambrose?
100%. Yeah, just give me something in there. Exactly. One or two
No one
words.
needs to write a book. Keep your book for later.
If context made sense to you, take a stab at it. So in that picture, I showed the Me Too movement, which I believe is a global movement. I know it looked differently in different places. Black Lives Matters is another contextual thing that's shaping what's happening here in the States. Yep, new notepad is perfect, Farah. You can even write on the back of a piece of mail, whatever you got, napkin. Something happens when you write stuff down. It's a little bit different.
I got a piece of of a sent envelope.
There it is. Yes,
I cut
that's
it
what
in
I was trying to
half.
say.
I opened it up.
This is the most resourceful bunch of people ever, right? Teachers, you're very resourceful. Okay. So it looks like we know how to use the raise hand feature. I'm sorry, I didn't go over the reactions and all of these things like I normally. I would love for someone to raise their hand if they want to speak, so I can make sure we keep this part really choppy. So do me a favor for right now. After you've gotten done with this, I'm gonna ask this question. I want to hear your answer in the chat box. The answer is, which one of those 5 C's was the hardest for you to write about? Tell me in the chat box. Which one was the hardest to write about? It could be because it was unclear, because it's not really much there, because you haven't thought about it, whatever reason, it doesn't matter. Just tell me which C was the hardest to write about. Context, context, color, context, context. Yes, context is hard. Character, very good. Okay, now let's get rid of context because it's always hard to talk about because it's so nuanced. Now here's the next question. Not including context. If I were to ask you to speak, tell us as a group about 1 C, which C would be the hardest to talk about? Not including context. Type that in the chat box. Color, class, character, class, culture, character. Oh, character, wow. Okay, class. So I call these courageous conversations. Courageous conversations. Why? Because courage takes us out of our comfort zone. Brave means I can do this. If I ask you all to teach me what you teach in school, you could do it no problem. Even over Zoom and maybe with someone different languages, it might be challenging, but you're brave in that situation. You know you can do it. Courageous means I'm a little bit scared and I'm going to do it anyways. Right? So I'm asking the question now, if you feel moved to speak, meaning what? A little bit of hand sweaty, a little bit of nervousness, right? Because what we want to do is be able to model the behavior we want to see in our children. So someone earlier, Winnie, gave me a lot of praise saying, Ambrose, you seem so calm. Thank you. This is such an important thing, right? Why? I realized if I'm not calm, my students can't be calm. So I had to figure out how to not pretend, because kids know you're lying, right? I had to figure out how to really be calm. So I do this thing called breathing practices, right? So I'm over talking. So really quickly, by raising your hand, who wants to talk about their C of class? Tell me what you wrote down in your circle only. Bop, 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 bop. I'm looking for hands. If you see a hand, let me know, Armin or Luis. I saw a class
or a real hand.
Either or, yeah.
Okay.
Vanessa,
right.
Go for it. Vanessa, what'd you write in your circle for class?
I wrote that I'm a teacher. I'm graduated in pedagogy. I do a lot of also NLP. And I owned the school for 23 years. And today I'm just missing my yoga classes a lot. in this pandemic this last year.
Cool. Vanessa, how would you say your socioeconomic status is? Are you poor, middle class, or upper class?
Middle class.
Middle class. Okay. Farah, let's go with your C of culture.
C of culture. So I'm a Southeast Asian woman. I am from Indonesia and I belong to a tribe called Dayak in Borneo. And even in Borneo, Dayak also has like almost 100 sub-tribes, but I belong to Dayak Ngaju. And I live far away from home now because I live in Arizona, United States. So yeah, I miss home, I miss my family. Back home, we can eat fish a lot because in Borneo, there are lots of rivers. Yeah, and also forest. I miss forest, being in the nature, because of my previous job besides teaching was tour guide. So I used to go to be in nature once a week at least, and different kinds of animals from the forest. So I miss all that.
Thank you, Farah. Bryant.
Thank you.
I see your hand up. Bryant, you get to pick any C that you want to talk about. Just tell us what C you choose and then give us what you wrote in your circle, please.
All right. So I think I chose my culture. All right. I've written down traditional. Yeah, because yeah, we are now in this 21st century world, but then still, as a Filipino, it is very important to us that we follow or we love our traditions. So despite of all these new technologies that we're learning as an educator, it doesn't stop me to share our tradition. In every group that I've participated, in every activity that I'm doing, I'm always putting a touch of our tradition. So that's it for me. I've chosen culture. I've written down traditional.
Thank you, Brian. You can see the hands, right? So normally with this practice, I would tell you to do this when you have uninterrupted time, because I hate cutting people off when they want to speak about something that's so deep. So I just want to make sure I say that. So we have a few more people. Let's go Hasmik, Jacqueline, Haneen, Tarana, and Madonna. But do me a favor, tell me what you put in your circle. It's going to be very quick that way, only for the lack of time, okay? So I'm going to go with Hasmik first. And you might be on mute, my friend.
Please unmute yourself.
Sorry, I'm Hasmik. I'm an Armenian woman, white woman. I want to share my culture. Armenia is one nation country, and our faith is Christianity. We are traditional people. We are a little bit hot-blooded, hospitable, and taking everything close to our hearts.
That was a perfect example. No, thank you. That was perfect. You gave us so much in that little bit of time.
May I add something about Armenia? Sorry.
Do me a favor, Ani. Could you put it in the chat box? Add in the chat box.
Okay.
Let's go with Jacqueline. Do me a favor. I like how Hasmik said, this is my C. Tell me what C you're going to talk about and then talk about that C. Jacqueline's next.
Okay, my C is context, and my context is teacher of a public school. This context in Brazil is totally different from teacher from a private school. So it's a very particular context because the students have a different reality from students from private schools. So we need to act different in public schools. We need to study more. We need to go for new ways of teaching because we don't have so much resources in public schools. So we need to look for new ways of teaching. And we need to do this for ourselves because we don't have the help of government. That's it.
I've not had someone tackle context so eloquently in this whole year. And maybe because that hits me really hard, Jacqueline, because I teach in both public school and private school. And what you said is 100% correct. Love to talk to you more about that later. This is wonderful. Let's go with Haneen. What is your C? And what did you write?
Hello. My C is culture. I wrote that from Lebanon. Our culture is marked by being a fighting and creative culture, marked by tasty food like tabbouleh and traditional dance, dabke. But we have different ethnicities and we also have a negative history of civil war. So we have a bit of violence in Lebanon, and this affects the youth approach to life, the way they reshape their future, and the way we are viewed internationally also. So that was a bit difficult for me to talk about.
Thank you. And what I've seen, the best circles I've had have been cross-sector circles, students, parents, and educators. And when someone shares, without even saying, this is hard for me to share, you just do a hard share, somehow that comes across. And what I found was that the students really care for their teachers. They are understanding what you're going through as educators in the pandemic. And it also happened the other way around. So I just really want to give a little bit of love to Haneen for saying that, because bringing your full self to the conversations, right? Before testing, before technology, before whatever else you want to do, curricular activities really helps. So we got one more person. I hate to cut off the rest, right? I hate to cut off the rest, but I want you to take this practice and make it your own and hold a circle for your learning space as soon as possible, as soon as you're ready for it. If you want any help to make it happen, let me know. So our last share is going to be Mandana. What's your C and what did you write?
Yeah, my C is culture, but I think it has a relationship with context. They are affecting each other. The culture that I live in is a country that it is a governmental religion. I live in Iran, and you know we have Islamic Republic in Iran. But I am in a religious minority that has many restrictions and persecutions in these 40 years. And I think it's made a special culture for me. And I live in a special context that I try to be steadfast, to live in hardships and in difficult situations. And I think I am a citizenship of my country, but from the other side, I think they don't accept me, and I have not any rights in my country. And it makes, for me, the situation and the context very difficult. I don't know if I said the things that you wanted or not, but it's
no, beautiful. Beautiful. That's perfect. So again, my character, I'm a time. So if someone gives me a time, I'm really on it, because I used to wear a stopwatch and do training all the time. So I'm always counting, right? So I just want to make sure I check in with Armin and Luis. But all those shares, let's take a deep breath in together and breathe out.
Hi.
So we have a lot of things that were shared today, right? And as I said earlier, this can go on for multiple sessions. So normally I would do an introduction into this work, right? And then I would have a separate session where we actually would do it. And then there might be follow-ups from there as well. So I'm sorry everyone can't share. Oh, someone's hand is up. Someone's trying to speak. Okay.
I think Tiao
So
wanted to share, but just let Ambrose just continue. We'll get
yeah, okay.
others in a moment.
So you can feel the if you feel like you want to share but you haven't, that's an invitation for you to hold a circle, right? And Armin invited me to your group, so I'm gonna hop onto the Facebook group page to continue the conversation. Just know that I'm with you, and I'm not looking to cut you off, but I want to wrap it up in the right amount of time. And I'm gonna hang out here for about 10-15 minutes afterwards, in case people want to have some more conversation. I would love to hear your 5 C's. So the question I have for you right now, just to ponder on, right? The question is, how would this be helpful in our learning environment? First of all, would this be helpful to have done with your teachers, your other staff members, your parents, and your students, whether in individual affinity groups or together? If it would be helpful, why? Just think about that for a few moments. So what you just did, right? What you just did was went through the 5 C's process. You wrote things down. You shared, you listened. Would that be helpful? And if so, why? And I'm looking for two or three new people who haven't spoken yet. I would love to hear from you. Yes, it would be helpful. No, it wouldn't be helpful. And just tell me why. Any new hands up? Mariana? Yeah.
That's me. I think it will be very helpful when we're having a discussion like it is in the chat box, because once you start talking, people can show who they are based on their culture. So it's something like give you value to things that are not standard. So something like, okay, you are not in the high class culture, but what you have to share is really important. So I'm giving to my students the possibility of showing off their culture, to say who they are, why they are like that. Once you value the other culture, they are more willing to learn your culture. So you are empowering students so they can overcome difficulties. So I think it's going to be really wonderful.
Beautiful, thank you. Matilda?
Yeah, hi, I'm Reena Matilda. I definitely feel these 5 circles would help us in our classrooms because it gives a chance for every student to talk about their culture, to talk about the context, what kind of character they are. So, when we have an open circle, definitely these 5 circles in a class would be helpful. When we get to understand, especially when we have students overseas, different cultures, different backgrounds, when they are able to open up, upfront at a confident level, definitely it would be helpful.
Beautiful. Okay, so I don't know if you came here thinking you're gonna get breathing exercises. We have an app for that. We have videos for that. We have so many resources for breathing, and we did breathing through this entire practice, right? Any conscious breath is a meditation. When you take a pause and breathe on purpose, I see Hasmit closing her eyes, right? That's the meditation. So we just did that together again, right? And if you want more of that, tell Armin, tell Louise, put it into that group chat box. I'll start dropping links in there, and I'll love to hop on there and do a live session or something for you. I just really believe this practice just takes what it takes, and it's so much to do. So we're gonna do this one word check. We're gonna do this checkout. We're gonna get out of here in a few moments, okay? So I'm gonna share my screen, and we'll all say bye together off mute. But for this one, what we're gonna do in the chat box, right, is what's one word, right? A checkout. So for my checkout, it's breakfast. I'm not eating breakfast. I don't eat breakfast. They're gonna eat breakfast behind me. I can hear my team coming behind me. So that's my one word checkout. What am I taking away with me? I need to talk to Armin a lot more. I've known Armin for years. I'm always excited when he posts. He's very engaging. And I had no idea what he's been building as he works with Sky Schools. And I'm just honored that I know him and that he invited me to the space to work with you all. So I did it verbally, right? But do me a favor, do your best version in the chat box for the next 2 minutes. One word and your takeaway. I'm going to read those as fast as possible as you type. Self-care, I'm taking with me the idea of asking people what they need to be well, rather than just how are you? Yes, Betsy. Treat yourself nicely. The 5 C's of awareness. Loving humanity. Everything. I love it. Relax. Happiness. Green tea. Yes, rejuvenate. Moon. And the 5 C's, try to be my university students tomorrow. Do it. Increasing understanding. Breathing practices. Love. Be calmed. More space for myself. Yes, Paulina. Sharing. Self-care. We got the idea. Awesome. Solidarity. Relax. Sharing. Caring about others. Energy. Learn. This is a wonderful group. Confident, me time, genuine connections. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I told our moderators, right, 90, they said definitely 1:40. So right now we're about 5 minutes early-ish. So right now I'm going to pass it back over to Armin and to Luis. And Armin and Luis, you already did this earlier, but I love it when we say goodbye off of mute together. It's a little bit crazy, but I love that. And then I'm going to hang around for a few minutes, okay? So Armin and Luis, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ambrose.
Can everyone do a quick thank you to Ambrose, either in the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself and say thank you in your language?
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. So wonderful.
Terima kasih, Ambrose.
Amazing coach.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Merci, Ambrose.
Thank you,
Merci.
Ambrose.
Thank you, everyone.
It was great.
Thank you.
Hello, Ambrose. Hello. May I say
Hello,
something to
yeah.
Ambrose?
Hello,
Hi,
who's
I'm
speaking?
Winnie. Okay. May I say something?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead.
I
Go
have
ahead.
someone who is saying hello, hello, hello. Who's speaking?
Yeah, everyone, we want to be respectful of everyone's time. So if anyone has to go, if it's bedtime, if it's breakfast time, if it's lunchtime, whatever it is, feel free to leave the space. Ambrose has graciously agreed to stay around if you can. But if you have to go, we have enjoyed working with you today. So do what's best for you.
It was a pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Armin. Hi, Armin. Hi, Armin. Do you hear me, Harmon? Do you hear me?
Yes, yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if anyone needs to go, we respect that, and it's not a problem. I think if anyone wants to ask maybe 1 or 2 questions, I mean, you could probably have many more. Our goal this week is for you to do some element of the 5 C's with your class, or some element of wellness, if possible. I mean, I work with primary, so I'm not going to be able to do the 5 C's, and they're still learning English. But I'm going to try to do maybe a small element of it. So if anyone has a question to ask Ambrose before we put you on that journey, time to
yes.
ask that.
Can I ask Ambrose a question?
Sure.
Okay, Ambrose, from your previous introduction, I hear that you are mentioning about your spiritual practice and your religious practice. I'm gonna ask you, what's the difference between the two, and how does that affect your wellness? Thank you.
What a good
question. Very,
so deep.
very good question. Yes, yes. So I maybe as succinct as possible with this. That's a great, great question. No one's ever asked me that question. So I did a program called Global Youth Leadership Institute. It's where I actually learned this practice called the 5 C's, and they have 4 pillars. So one pillar is religious pluralism. Religious pluralism. So my religious background was, again, growing up Christian, Baptist, Southern Baptist, but I went to Catholic school. So right away I was learning one thing in school, one thing at home. And I went to Lutheran college. And what I learned about being Lutheran is that church is way shorter than Catholic church and Baptist church. So I used to like going to the Lutheran Mass. And I studied ancient civilizations and African American history because I had a Muslim roommate my college year who is African American and from Pakistan. And once 9/11 happened, it really threw me off because this boy to me looked black, but he was Muslim, is Muslim, and he had so much grace and compassion for violent people in the small town I went to school in that I didn't understand what was happening. So it's a longer story, but I ended up talking to his dad, who was a religious leader in Pakistan and Afghanistan for months and months. And I thought I wanted to become Muslim because I was so impressed by this young man's practice. And his dad said to me, "You don't want to become Muslim, you want to become disciplined. You like my son's discipline. So Ambrose, go be disciplined, and that will be right." So I've been on this journey to learn where I am in my religious practice. And I don't consider myself very religious, Wenda. That's why I say spiritual. So for me, Buddhism, which I've learned can be a religious practice, but could also become a spiritual practice, is more of the right fit for me personally. And when I say that in public schools, it gives other students permission to talk about all of their other practices and religions, because it's not just Christianity, being Muslim, or being Jewish. There's so many other things I've learned by sharing my practice as a Black man, because people don't think about me being Buddhist. They think about me being Asian, right? And I'm not Asian. So thank you, Wenda. That's a very good question I haven't had before. So I'll try to be shorter,
Yes,
sweeter.
you're welcome. I'm from Indonesia. Actually, I forgot to introduce myself. And last one, you asked us about one word that I'm going to take with. I cannot type because I have technical problem with my laptop. So I'm going to say it's peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, peace to you.
Hello, can I have a question?
Go ahead.
Yes, my question is, how can we reshape our mental approach, and which kind of mental approach can help us to, let's say, have a better wellness?
Beautiful. I'm sorry, who was speaking?
I'm sorry, I'm Haneen. I raised my hand. Do
Oh,
I
no
repeat my
worries.
question?
No, I'm looking for your face. I wasn't being as focused as I could have
It's
been.
a picture of her seated
Yes, that's
inside of.
me here.
That's okay. So mental approach, I'll give you the one that I start with. So I have 10 pillars to the program that I teach called mental performance coaching. I'll give them to you really quickly. Elite mindset, motivation and commitment, focus and awareness, self-control and discipline, process over outcome. Number 6, meditation and breath work. Number 7, time management or time management organization. Number 8, routines and habits of excellence. Number 9 is leadership, and number 10 is culture. I start with number 1 because I feel like it's the foundation. So you all have this already, or else you would not be here. Elite mindset. What's that mean? Is that you do things that other people don't do. How many other educators, this is a Sunday morning, for some people. For me, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. Armin and Luis asked me to be here. I'll do it. I was excited. Some people will say, "Oh, Sunday, oh, dinner time, oh," and no offense to those people, right? So you have an elite mindset. So I would say just knowing, being aware that you already have it is the first step. And elite-minded people have a certain language. They talk certain ways. So that's the first lesson I teach to my students is, what is the elite-minded? What does that look like? Find someone, if you don't know what it looks like, and then mimic that person until you can do it for yourself. So elite-minded people do things that average people don't do. And just know that because you're already here for that reason.
Wonderful. I think Winnie has a
Ambrose,
question. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, Ambrose, it's me again. So remember the first breakout room we have met? So I asked you, yeah, I asked you a question that the students, there are so many diversity, so maybe different age level. So what's your, I mean, strategy to teach a different level of the kids? For example, primary or teenager, even adults or parents. What's your strategy to kick it off?
That's a good question. One, so these are things that I've learned through Sky actually. So my background in speaking is I have a speech impediment. So I have a stutter. I have a really bad stutter sometimes when I get nervous or I'm not prepared. So I would prepare so much and come in with a script, right? Like I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, and this. What I realized is that when I could do that, things went really well. When I couldn't do that, things were horrible, right? I would get embarrassed and I get embarrassed so teaching in school, especially public school, I realized that nothing that's scheduled happens the way it's scheduled. That took me years to really understand, right? So now, even for this event, I came here last weekend, for example, to speak. And they said, hey, you want to stay for the weekend? I go, I didn't know I was invited. They said, well, come back next weekend. So I came back this weekend and I'm here. I don't know what was going on. There's this whole agenda though, and we're not even following the agenda. So I had to let go of my expectations. I let go of my expectations. So this is a little bit semantical. So Armin and Luis helped me out. So expectations to me means I wish this thing happens. If it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be upset or I'm gonna be disappointed. Instead, I have what's called a standard. What's a standard? I have a few things that I have when I teach. One, we sit in a circle. Why? So we can all see each other. So everybody knows that we're all the same. Two, you being open. Three, you being curious. And here's the fourth one that's really, really important. I play as many games as possible with everyone, little kids, teachers, and adults. And that makes things way easier. So that lets me go through each group differently. But yeah, sit in a circle, openness, curiosity, and I try to play games, be physical.
So Amber, do you use music or you just ask them to follow instruction like close your eye, rub
Oh, you mean the
thing?
actual practice? Got you. Yeah. So that's easy. So little kids do it. So don't even worry about the little kids. If you do it with energy, little meaning be lower than 10 years old, they'll do it fine. 6th, 7th, 8th grade, middle school kids, I earn their trust over time. I make them the leaders, right? Who wants to lead the practice? If they lead it, then they'll do it. Older kids, I show them it and it looks weird and awkward. So I'll close my eyes, I'll do all the breathing, I'll do all the stuff with 100% confidence because I knew when I was that age, I was lacking confidence. And I would feel funny. And then what happens is over time they do it too. But they tell me like in the hallways, like, hey coach, like that thing that we did today was kind of cool. Right. So I let go of expectations. Little kids do it. As they get older, they don't do it as much in front of everybody else. But I just trust and know, Winnie, that they actually do get something from it and they will do it on their own when they're not in front of other people.
Thank you. I found the 5C is also good for people interaction, even peer, not only student.
I'm happy you said that, Winnie. That's my main takeaway. Don't think about this as only being for your students. They do it at your next meeting with your staff and see what they do, right? They need to do a check-in too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. What's that? If you haven't yet given Ambrose some feedback, the link is in the chat box. Ambrose, more or less our goal is for all these amazing teachers to apply some aspect of what they've experienced today with their classes or colleagues or in any way that you think is possible. So
I'll give you 2 ways, Armin. I'll give you the 5 C's worksheet. But I heard Armin says working with other students. This is a very quick practice, Armin. It's called I Stand Celebrated. It's the same exact thing done with little kids. So it goes like this. I like football. I'll stand. Everybody that likes football will stand up. If you don't like football, you don't stand, but then you clap. I like chocolate cake. You stand up. Don't like chocolate cake? So it's a very energetic, get them off their seats activity. And they'll throw in their culture. They'll throw in their character. They'll throw in everything, right? Whatever they want to throw in, you just clap for them. And it's a really energetic process because most times people don't have people clap for them very often. So I'll drop that into the Facebook group page too. Those are two practices. To go to Winnie's point, I think it's important to have something that's applicable with all groups, but they understand working with little kids or language differences. So that one you can make your own, Armin. I think that's another way of doing the 5 C's, but a little bit differently.
Fabulous.
Wonderful, wonderful.
The 5 C's could also be really interesting for someone to try to make a picture of it or try to express it in different ways, right? So think about how you would use the 5 C's, but maybe not in the typical way. There's different ways of doing it. Well, I know we've been on this call, this incredible call, the attendance sheet. Yeah, I think Louise can drop it. Is there anything else, Louise or Ambrose? Because we want to respect people's time and everything that they've shared.
I feel very full. Thank you for having me. I was going to say thank you, and that's all I got. Sorry, Louise, go for it.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm putting the attendance sheet in the chat, and then on the Facebook group, I'm making a post with the 5 C's worksheet. So we just encourage you to take the poll on Facebook about like where you're at right now with what you've learned today, and then use the comment section to say how you're going to incorporate what you've learned on today, be it on wellness or on the 5 C's, starting courageous conversation. So that way, when it's in the comments, everyone can go back and reference and share. So please, 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 please do that. It's kind of like attending multiple sessions at once. People can always go back for ideas. If there is nothing else, Ambrose, I think the biggest thing we just want you to take away is thank you, how grateful it is. It's so nice always just to kind of keep learning and growing together. And you did a wonderful facilitation about something we haven't really talked about and really kind of engaged us all. I feel more relaxed after how much I've breathed today. So that's wonderful. And it's just kind of inspiring to see you as a model educator, and just even those little things more beyond the concepts, those little check-ins of breath, I think are things we're all going to take with us. So we want to make sure that we thank him. So thank you. Okay, everyone. Well, we're going to go ahead and log on. Again, please just stay active on Facebook. Ambrose has joined our Facebook group, so you can follow him, like him, just stay engaged and stay engaged in the comment section.
Wonderful.
And enjoy your day.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you next
Bye.
time. Thank you,
Yes.
Armin, Louise. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Ambrose, thank you, everyone who came. We'll see you on
Bye.
Tuesday if you're free with Priya, who's going to share some other wellness activities. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.